My name is Sean Fleming, and we are here talking about dialogue. Noticing, practicing, and writing dialogue. To start out with, you will notice that I have a link to the handout and to this slideshow. So let's talk about dialogue. So up to this point, as we are writing our narratives, you will have started with some characters. In this case, it's you and some other people. In your personal narrative, you will have a setting, a place, and a time. You will have a plot, a problem, and a solution, and you will have your lead, your beginning, your hook. And you will have mapped all of this out on this fiction plot graph. So now, we'd like to take a look at how do you use dialogue and how do you write it. So take a look at this page from Deborah Ellis's The Breadwinner. What do you notice? I'm going to start reading on the second paragraph. On the fourth day, the food went out. We're out of food, Nuria told Parvana. Don't tell me, tell Mother. She's the grown-up. She has to get us some. I don't want to bother her. Then I'll tell her. Parvana went over to Mother's toe shack and gently shook her. We're out of food. There was no response. Mother, there's no food left. Mother pulled away. Parvana started to shake her again. Leave her alone. Nuria yanked her away. Can't you see she's depressed? So I'd like you to stop the video and write down, what do you notice? What do you notice about the indenting, the new paragraph? What do you notice about the quotation marks, the commas, the periods, the capital letters? Do that now. And we're back with some of your noticings. You might have noticed, perhaps, that there's a mix of dialogue and act description. You might have noticed there when she said, then I'll tell her, period, quotation mark, Parvana went over. So you have this piece of dialogue, the things that Parvana is saying, and then the actions that Parvana. You might have noticed that the words in quotes usually begin with capital letters, and on that page they all did. The end punctuation is before the end quotation mark. Her, period, quotation mark, depressed, exclamation point, quotation mark. Food, comma, quotation mark, Nuria told. You might have noticed that when there's a new speaker, there is a new paragraph. So I'd like you to try to practice writing some dialogue. Imagine a scene. I've written a scene here of Tomas and Maria who are going to the mall, and Tomas needs to buy some socks for soccer. I wrote it as if it were a play, where Maria says, where do you want to go? And Tomas says, I need to buy some socks for soccer. So in your notebook, try writing this short scene. For example, you could start this way. Tomas and Maria walked toward the mall. Maria asked, and continue this scene written with the dialogue, but write it correctly. See if you can do that. You can stop the video and go ahead and start it when you're done. Here's how I wrote the dialogue. Tomas and Maria walked toward Ripley. Maria asked, where do you want to go? Maria was tired and hoped he would say, home. Well, I need, Tomas began, to buy some socks for soccer. So you'll notice a combination of what they said, what they did, what Maria was thinking. And here we have the one case where the words inside the quotation marks don't start with a capital letter. There Tomas says, well, I need, Tomas began, to buy some socks for soccer. This sentence is broken by the phrase Tomas began. When he continues talking, because it is the same sentence, you don't start with a capital letter. So let's take a look at some dialogue rules to help you remember what to do. There is a handout for this, and you can find it at that link. Rule number 1, make a new paragraph and indent when a different person begins to speak. Rule number 2, when writing dialogue, All punctuation marks at the end of the quotation go inside the quotation marks. Rule number 3. Do not put a period at the end of a quotation mark, followed by things like she said, mom asked, he explained, etc. Use commas, question marks, and exclamation points, but not periods, because periods end sentences. Rule number 4. A quotation begins with a capital letter, except in rule number 5, as a bonus, when a quotation is interrupted into two parts with words like he asked or the teacher demanded, the second part begins with a lowercase letter, as I showed you in that dialogue between Maria and Tomas. So as you take a look at this again, you can notice 4 of these rules present. Rule number 1 is present right there. So we have a new speaker speaking on each line. We're out of food, Nuria told Parvana. Then there's a new speaker. Parvana says, don't tell me, tell mother. She's the grown-up. She has to get us some. Rule number 2, you'll notice that the end punctuation, that period, is inside the quotation mark. So it's the word some, period, quotation mark. Rule number 3, you'll notice there's a comma followed by the quotation marks. Then Nuria told Parvana. And rule number 4, with the sentences starting with capital letters inside the quotation mark. So it's your turn. Thinking about what we just talked about, a mix of dialogue and description, that the words in quotes usually begin with capital letters, the end punctuation for the end quotation mark. The new speaker begins a new paragraph. And I want to show you what one student did. So here's an example of what one student did. She had written, I got bored playing ping pong with my brother, so I told him I don't want to play anymore. My dad gave me the keys to the elevator. 2 minutes later, I was stuck. So she took this and transformed this using dialogue. You'll see she has a conversation between her and her brother, and then her dad says something, and then she gets stuck. Watch what she did. A few minutes earlier, I had been with my brother, playing ping pong. I don't want to play anymore, I said. You're just saying that because I'm winning, he complained while he gave me a I'm better than you look. No, shut up. I went to my dad and asked him to give me the keys to the elevator. Just don't do something crazy, he reminded me while the elevator door was opening. At that moment, I had no idea of what would happen in a few seconds. And she went on to write her story. So taking this example with no dialogue and transforming it into this. This has been Dialogue, Noticing, Practicing, and Writing with Sean Fleming. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.